what's up, Plus Ultra fam? It's me, Plus Ultra Man, and welcome back to the timeline of Piccolo turning good early. When we last left off, the evil android Cell held his destructive Cell games and ended up defeated by Gohan. 7 years passed on Earth with Piccolo as the new Guardian, and we return to this story in a moment. For that, in part 5.5, I ended up forgetting to revive Future Trunks. This is pretty small potatoes because as soon as Trunks is revived, he just returns to the future as I planned to do in the original script. I know this isn't too rare as I have had a few script issues, inconsistencies, and plot holes in the past, but I soon want to get a proofreader / writing partner to try and curb some of that, and once I close out some of these ongoing Dragon Ball stories that are running side by side, they'll stop blurring together so much and I'll probably start making mistakes like that. Anyway, let's get back to the story now. As Piccolo and the Kais wait for Mr. Popo and fortune teller Baba, he asks them more questions about Buu in the past, the techniques he used that they should watch out for, and things like that. During this, he telepathically contacts both Goten and Trunks as well as Gohan. All reply mentally that they will arrive to the lookout very soon. Finally, Mr. Popo returns, and on his carpet was the famous fortune teller, as well as two faces he knew all too well. Piccolo could not help smiling when he saw Goku. They still had a few problems in their relationship to iron out, but 7 years was a long time to go without seeing someone, especially someone you considered a brother. And as the saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder and all that. Aside from this, Vegeta had a totally different vibe to him, much more relaxed and confident looking. And the good Piccolo had sensed in his heart during the battle with Cell had multiplied 100-fold by now. That also made him very happy. And simply to add on even more happiness, he could tell that the two were not showing it, but their strength had multiplied to a scale that was almost inconceivable. In his mind, Piccolo mentally cheers, just as he thought. These two had become monsters in the 7 years they'd been gone. They'd be the perfect backup plan if things didn't go their way. Goku wastes absolutely no time and hops off the flying carpet, pulling Piccolo into a brotherly hug as he greets him. Once again, Piccolo could not hold on to the anger he had once felt for Goku and couldn't help but let out a chuckle and return the hug. He even went so far as to give Vegeta a nod of acknowledgement, and in return, surprising him, he got a nod of genuine respect. But Vegeta could not help making one snide comment about how he thought Piccolo would have gotten way stronger than this. Introductions between the newcomers and the Kais take place, and soon Gohan arrives, being surprised to see his father and Vegeta back to life. Goku and Gohan then have a pretty happy reunion, with Vegeta reaching out to shake Gohan's hand. Bowing his head, Gohan says thank you to Vegeta for saving him 7 years ago, and Vegeta simply scoffs at this. But Goku slyly remarks that means thank you in Vegeta. Minutes later, Goten and Trunks finally arrive to the lookout. Coming face to face with their fathers, the two boys have very different reactions. Trunks at least recognizes who Vegeta is, but he doesn't just jump straight into hugging him and being all lovey-dovey. His time spent with Gohan and Piccolo had clued him in onto the type of man who Vegeta was. He had heard of his flaws and his good qualities without bias, and he had also learned that the way to get through Vegeta was power. Becoming very stiff and formal, Trunks calls out to his father, and with the effort it takes to blink, becomes a Master Super Saiyan to shock him. It does as intended, and Vegeta is surprised, not only at the power, but the ease he could access it with. From what he could tell, with a bit more training, Trunks could maybe access the level beyond Super Saiyan. This elicits a small amount of a brand new source of pride in his heart. His son is a prodigy, and he knew who to thank for his training. Still somewhat shocked, he expresses to Piccolo that he did a very good job with Trunks' training. He admits that he would not have had the patience to get him to this level.
Naturally.
Goten, on the other hand, was just staring at his dad. He'd never actually met Goku, and he'd only heard stories from Piccolo and Gohan. I think he would really admire this version of Goku, since instead of coming up with just one version of hearing his dad, he's growing up with the stories of his father from his brother and his big green uncle, and both really look up to Goku. So he's not truly shy, he's more just awestruck right now. Goku is able to recognize his son, and he greets him happily. With all the introductions done, Piccolo calls everyone's attention and looks to Goku and Vegeta. He goes on to explain the situation. An ancient monster named Majin Buu is here on Earth. To awaken him, his master is trying to gather energy from Earth's fighters. Luckily, none of the Earth's strongest are at their mercy, because they're targeting the World Martial Arts Tournament, which nobody from the Z Fighters actually entered. Piccolo then points to Goku and Vegeta and asks them to please show everyone their power. Both Saiyans smirk at the chance to show off, and they both flash into Super Saiyan very easily, and dub this as normal Super Saiyan, or Super Saiyan 1. They then flash into another state, and explain that this is the form that Gohan had reached in his final attack against Cell. But then the two begin to shake as their ki explodes. Goku yells out that this is to go even further beyond. Vegeta then declares this the pinnacle of Saiyan evolution. With significantly less strain than what Goku showed of his transformations in canon, Goku and Vegeta begin to grow in power and in hair length, though their eyebrows suffered for it. The Supreme Kai and Kibito were shaking as they realized this power was far above that of Majin Buu. With this, they could easily win even if he were to be released. Goku and Vegeta finally ended the massively powerful transformation and announced this form as Super Saiyan 3. Goku announces that when they first found it, it was a much higher strain to attain it, but Vegeta explains that now they can easily maintain it with only half that original strain. Though he had gambled on something like this, Piccolo is shocked at the sheer power of these two Saiyan, but he was incredibly happy. With this power, they had a near foolproof insurance policy. He then announces that this was good. These two will ensure their victory in case something happened, but neither of them will be fighting. Everyone from Goten to Supreme Kai yelled at him in a loud and confused "What?"
Vegeta and Goku can solve this issue before it gets out of hand, but they haven't been training to protect the Earth. They've been training to get stronger for themselves. Meanwhile, Gohan, Goten, Trunks, and I have been working to protect the world, so that's what we're going to do, the four of us. I may not be a Saiyan, but I do have pride. However, I refuse to put the world in danger for it. I am the Guardian, after all.
Supreme Kai and Kibito were pale white at Piccolo's declaration, while Gohan and the boys seem to understand him more now and agree with him, all growing serious in expression and being ready for business now. Goku looks disappointed while Vegeta seems very angry about this, but he would not argue against Piccolo in this. He could understand pride better than most. As the group began to discuss their next move, they all sensed two small yet very evil presences behind the palace on the lookout spying on them. Piccolo smirks as his plan was going perfectly. Out of nowhere, a multiform clone of Piccolo appears behind the two bald men and a strange-looking alien with an M on their forehead. With very little effort, he is able to subdue them and drags them out in front of the group and merges with the real Piccolo. Quickly filling everyone in, Piccolo explains that he wanted Goku and Vegeta to show their full powers for two reasons. Number one, it would help him gauge how good their backup would be. Number two, it would attract the enemy since their main objective was to steal energy of strong fighters, so sensing that power from across the world, they would definitely be drawn to them. From here, he kneels down and begins to read their minds. This allows him to know everything they know, from the location of their ship, who Babidi and his forces are, including Dabura and all their abilities, and the mind control ability that the wizard held. Knowing that little tidbit of information gives Piccolo another idea. He stands up smirking and takes off his guardian robes, revealing his gi underneath. Though he did not like to be overconfident, this was going to be very easy. Meanwhile, at Babidi's ship, the wizard and Dabura were already celebrating. The power that had sprung up in the distance was more than enough to awaken Majin Buu. Though it was much too powerful for Spopovich, Yamu, and Pui Pui to defeat, if they could get merely a fraction of that energy, then they could come back and awaken Majin Buu in one go. Besides that, those losers were disposable, and if he needed to, he could always send Dabura. The two were just about to toast some space wine when the entire ship shook and seemed to grow unstable. With another loud impact, the ship shook once again. On the final impact, a giant square-shaped hole was blasted down into the final level of the ship that held Buu's egg where they resided. Piccolo, the boys, Goku, Vegeta, and the Kais then landed inside the room. Piccolo chuckles and explains that he'll have to thank Tien for opening up a hole for them. He then calls out to the wizard Babidi and the Demon King Dabura by name. This was their only warning. Relinquish Majin Buu's egg to them and leave the planet now or die. Babidi was flustered but was by no means about to give up. With a wave of his hand, a door opens and in steps a giant green monster. Piccolo smirks at the resistance.
Have it your way. Goten and Trunks, take the wizard. He's gonna fight tricky, but that's your specialty. Gohan, take the big guy. I'll handle Dabura. Remember, no ki-based attacks. Give him nothing to absorb and give to Majin Buu. Martial arts and physical strength alone. Goku, Vegeta, Supreme Kai, and Kibito. Have a seat.
And with that, the battle was on. As soon as Goten and Trunks came at Babidi, he erected a force field to protect himself. The boys got evil looks on their faces as Trunks asked Goten if he wanted to play some volleyball. The little green shrimp of a sorcerer then gulped nervously. Against Yakon, Gohan was easily able to use his size against him. The monster was big and powerful, but with no ki to eat, he couldn't grow in strength, and he was already very slow with his attacks. Because of this, he couldn't even hit Gohan, and every swipe missed by a massive extent. And when the teenager would dodge, he would then attack one of Yakon's knees, which were very weak because they had to support the giant creature's weight. Though Yakon had seemingly had a plan and had kept pushing Gohan back further and further with his dodging. With his back to a wall, Gohan finds himself in a bad situation as Yakon tries to slice him in half at the waist. Surprising the beast, he catches both of his blades with his bare hands. This cuts him a bit and draws a small amount of blood, but that's about all the damage it does. Gohan then pulls, and with a gross squelching noise, both long blades were ripped from Yakon's arms. With a mighty heave, Gohan threw them in the monster's eyes, hitting the marks easily and putting the beast down forever. Piccolo watches this from the corners of his eyes, and like any good master, gives small critiques in his head about what his students could have done better. Meanwhile, he and Dabura had squared off, but while Dabura was about to start a monologue, Piccolo stretches out a hand that clamps onto Dabura's mouth and wraps around his throat, choking him. Dabura then smirks, finding this as his chance, and is able to get his spit onto Piccolo's palm. He then begins to turn into stone, but Piccolo is the one to smirk next as the stone begins to grow closer and closer to his body. Goku then yells out for Piccolo to watch out.
I told you we can handle this, so shut up!
Piccolo then quickly slices off his own arm and finishes his plan. Dabura had basically just created a stone muzzle for himself, taking away his ability to spit effectively. Piccolo then activates the Kaioken times 10 and flies forward and delivers a devastating kick to the face, which crushes the stone against his jaw, nearly breaking it and knocking him out. Over with Babidi, as he was being kicked and jostled around in his force field by Trunks and Goten, Babidi was greener than normal and took notice of the animosity between Goku and Piccolo. Sensing more negativity in Piccolo's heart, he makes a last-minute gamble and begins to cast a spell on him. Piccolo is able to deliver a few more heavy blows, but stops and clutches at his head. His power then erupts to a much higher height, and he begins to laugh evilly. Laughter continues until it became almost hysterical.
Oh my Kami, you actually did it! I thought you'd target me. Listen up, Babidi. I have meditated for years to deal with the evil in my heart. It doesn't control me, and neither will you!
Babidi was so shocked by this revelation that he accidentally allowed his force field to falter for only a second, and in that, Goten and Trunks were finally able to get to the prize inside. They said that they still weren't done playing volleyball, but Babidi did not survive the first serve. Still holding his jaw, Dabura looks up at Piccolo as the M on their foreheads disappeared.
Oh, how is this possible? I am the Demon King.
The answer to his question is given as Piccolo grabs his wrist and crushes it before throwing Dabura off into the air and obliterating him with a mouth blast.
And I'm God. Of the Earth, at least.
The Supreme Kai was speechless, yet relieved. Piccolo's plan had indeed worked. Kibito was amazed at the power of mortals, and Goku and Vegeta were just bored out of their minds. Supreme Kai then orders the destruction of Boo's egg, but Piccolo stops him right there. From the description of what Boo is by the Kais, the Jin didn't sound truly evil. Perhaps it was just the influence of his former masters. He was created for evil as well, so he knew what it was like. He just wanted to try something, and if things went wrong, then Goku and Vegeta could definitely take on Boo if he messed up. The Kais were visibly and deeply disturbed by this idea, but the faith they had just gained in Piccolo was pretty unquestionable at the moment. For now, they would let him try this. As he said, Goku and Vegeta could clean up if this became a big mess. And so everyone waits as Piccolo gets in contact with Nail through telepathy. After a few quick readings, the other warrior begins to gather the Dragon Balls to grant Piccolo's latest wish: purge the evil of Majin Buu's heart. There was then a time delay as the wish was granted, but soon Nail told Piccolo that the deed was done. The Kai seemed suspicious as Buu's egg was still sealed up, but all of a sudden, black smoke began to pour out from it and formed into a skinny and sinister looking creature. Shin's blood runs cold as he notices a resemblance to Buu, and he warns the warriors that this must have been Buu's evil. Piccolo and his students were already in fighting positions once again and flew in to battle the evil version of Buu, but they were easily swatted away as the creature began to pry open Buu's egg. Before it got too far, Vegeta powered all the way up to Super Saiyan 3 once again and was able to completely incinerate the creature with an attack he called the Galactic Blazer. Jokingly, he tells Piccolo better luck next time. The Guardian was a bit angry, but he was still happy that nothing bad had happened. From the crack in Buu's egg, a portly pink creature escaped and began to look around. This was Majin Buu. Piccolo stands up and dusts himself off before greeting Buu. He explains who he is and what they had done, explaining that Buu was now free of Babidi's control and the influence of evil in his heart. When the creature smiles and asks if they have any snacks, Piccolo sort of sweat drops and explains that he'll try and find some as soon as he can. Later on the lookout, the Kais were making their goodbyes. Shin was extremely impressed. The situation had been handled by Earth's Guardian with near-perfect precision and grace. Even Buu had been made into an ally of the Earth. Granted, at the moment he was not as dangerous as before, as he had only received the power of a few World Tournament fighters before being released. But he was still a powerful new ally, and could definitely get stronger through training and more time to regain his full strength. Add on to that the fact that all of Babidi's forces had been wiped out, including the 3 that had been restrained on the lookout to ensure total security, and that there was no loss of life on the side of the heroes in case something went horribly awry. I know this is a bit dark, but remember that Piccolo and the others did give Babidi and Dabura the option to leave the Earth and receive no physical harm to themselves. Add on to that the fact that Kami also took the job of Guardian very seriously, and I think that Piccolo would also do the same, training his fighters to take the protection of Earth extremely seriously as well. In the long run, Piccolo's pride had not been that big of a hindrance. Kibito then transports them back to the world of the Kais, and Piccolo relaxes as essentially his bosses left the area. That was super stressful, but thankfully nothing going too bad. He had trained strong students to be effective protectors of Earth, ensured victory by enlisting the help of Goku and Vegeta, and he made a new powerful ally for the planet. Goten and Trunks then took Buu off to play with his powers and pig out on candy, while Vegeta and Goku prepared to find Baba to go back to the other world.
Not so fast, you two. 7 years is long enough. You two have had your fun. Now it's time to return home. I need my strongest warriors back on Earth, and your families need you as well.
Whining, Goku expresses that he gets so bored in the world of the living now.
Boredom isn't the point. Besides, there's all types of training to be done, especially with Buu here now. He'll need some refining, but I know he could be the strongest of us all. Besides, you've gotten overconfident. I've already thought of a way to defeat you.
Goku merely laughs this off, but Piccolo stands in front of him, showing that this was a real challenge. The two make a bet. Since Piccolo is so sure of himself, and Goku is even more so, if Piccolo can land a hit that knocks Goku out, then he'll come back to life. To be a good sport, Goku will even give Piccolo 3 tries to do so. Piccolo grins at this proposition, and to work towards his hustle, he even gives Goku 2 attacks, which seem to be all he could manage. But these barely tickle Goku, making the Saiyan overconfident. On his 3rd attempt, Piccolo's stance changes massively, and a huge amount of ki becomes condensed in Piccolo's fist. He gathers more and more to the point that his hand begins to glow and crackle with electricity. Goku sweats and begins to power up to his Super Saiyan forms, as it will be illegal to try and dodge the attack since he said he would try and take them head on. Bragging, Piccolo admits that Goku should have given him a time limit of how long he can charge his attacks. Goku actually has to hit Super Saiyan 3 to finally feel confident against the attack that Piccolo has been charging in his hand, but the Namekian just roars out into the Super Kaioken form. His body turns deep red, and once again his ki is climbing to levels that make Goku extremely nervous. Piccolo just kept building power on top of power, stacking his Kaioken over and over from what he could keep pushing over the Super Kaioken level, as small as that amount was. Vegeta begins mocking Goku as he realized the same thing that Goku had a bit earlier. Hopefully this attack wouldn't kill him. Again, Piccolo then rears his arm back, even stretching it for more power on the punch, and as he does so, the ground is ripped up and burned by the weight and heat of the ki in his fist. When he goes for his punch, he hits nothing but air, as Goku had sidestepped just in time. His heart is pounding and he's drenched in sweat. His survival instincts wouldn't allow him to take that hit head on. Piccolo's bluff had worked, and because of that, Goku and Vegeta decided that they would return to life. As soon as they do, Piccolo nearly collapses from the strain of that huge attack and the stress he had been under with the Kais here. With everything settled, he says he's gonna go have a nice relaxing meditation session. He's earned it. But that, plus Ultra Fam, is where I'll be leaving the story off for right now. Just handle a few quick things I expect to see in the comments. No, I didn't put parallels in this one. I just didn't want to be arguing with people too much, because every time I do try and get you guys to do that, I'll ask to go to Discord and no one ever comes, so I'm just gonna kind of lay off that for a while. Not saying I'll never do power levels again, just for now I'm going to lay off it for a little bit. It's just been a little stressed with the whole Kappa thing. We'll say that Goku and Vegeta are super strong because they had Super Saiyan 3 training partners, and I'd place them as being only a little stronger than the canon version of Kid Buu, meaning individually they could probably defeat him. Piccolo and Gohan had some good training to do together, as Gohan was a Super Saiyan 2, while Trunks and Goten had been pretty close to achieving it, and you must also remember in this timeline they have the Guru Power Boost, since Piccolo has the ability to do that. So everyone is pretty much a lot stronger than in canon. Also, sorry this was such an anticlimactic Buu saga. My goal was to show how effective a Guardian Piccolo is, and I want to announce that I will have a scenario that has a much longer Buu saga very soon. Also, let me know if you guys found some of the actions that the characters took here a bit dark. I'm very curious about that one. Please be sure to follow me on my social media links in the description, and follow me on Twitter definitely, and Instagram as well. Those are great places to submit fan art like this really cool piece submitted by an artist who goes by @RujindoruJeef_art on Instagram and @LegendaryDref on Twitter. Once again, Discord is also a really good place to join, especially if you have any criticisms or ideas for what ifs. Those are probably good spots to try and get in contact with me as I try to be a little more active there. And please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see a part 7. It really helps me out when I'm trying to pick what scenario I want to do next, and I see that one of them has a lot more likes than the other ones do, and that people aren't just viewing it and not showing me how they rated it. Shoutouts to the patrons in Hero Tier, Lone McQuaid, Zyra Returns, Treb, and Stefan Consferent, in Shinobi Tier, Pizza15X, and in Z Warrior Tier, Shannon Roberts, in Beyond Tier, Knuckles OX, Don, and Robert Smith, and in the Plus Ultra Tier, DJ The Lazy Gamer. Can't be understated how much this kind of direct support means right now, especially where YouTube is going. With that done, all there is to say is, as always, take care of yourselves and go beyond plus ultra. See you guys next time.